I am often asked how I got involved in the field of negotiation and conflict resolution. And for me, it really started with intercultural communications. Many years ago, in the probably late 70s, early 80s, I went to Japan. So I'm an independent New York woman going to Japan and having an experience with a culture that's very different from my own. So of course there was not only a difficulty in intercultural communication, but then there were also conflicts that emerged. And I became interested in cross-cultural conflict. So intercultural communication into cross-cultural conflict, and then also looking at negotiation and conflict resolution. When I look back over my career, it looks like all of my choices are very intentional and that it was really very planned, but it wasn't. My big MO was, what's exciting? Well, that looks interesting, let me try that. And of course, looking back, it all makes sense as one particular flow, although at the time, as I mentioned, it wasn't. So I became involved in intercultural communications. I became involved in looking at conflict resolution from a cultural lens. And then I also spread into negotiation in a variety of contexts, in communities, in organizations, and most of my work takes place in an organizational context. One of the things that really drives me is when I work with people, students in organizations, and we're doing something around conflict resolution, expanding perspectives, taking an alternative point of view, and people get an aha moment. And when they have that aha moment, something opens up and they're able to see things from a perspective they did not see before. And what this allows them to do is be creative in how they resolve the issues at stake. It also allows them to show empathy towards the other side, because beforehand, with their own point of view, they didn't even entertain or consider what the other person may have thought. Looking forward as to next steps in my career and what I'm planning to keep me motivated, because I don't sit in the same place all the time, I keep moving. Two main areas of interest. One is looking at the field of women and negotiation. I have been doing research, I will continue to be doing research and writing about and then developing practical applications for how women negotiate. There has been a lot of research on this right now. A lot of it is contradictory about what works and what doesn't work. My particular focus is really on what are the stories that women tell themselves about who they are as negotiators. And how does that affect how they show up in a negotiation, how they prepare for it, how they deal with their counterpart in the negotiation process. Taking that and creating practical applications so women can develop different kinds of stories that really enable them to show up in a very strong, constructive way in their negotiations. A second area of interest that I've always had is on youth leadership. I do work in conflict resolution, and so sometimes I work with youth leaders in post-conflict situations. And what I found in my experience is that youth leaders are so innovative and creative in what they do and how they are able to mobilize and create ideas and workshops and plans for youth in their areas. And what I'd like to do is bring youth leaders together more and more, network youth leaders across the world, because there's so many ways that youth leaders can learn from each other, and really try to figure out good ways to partner to say, here I am from a university, what is it that we know? There you are in your communities, what is it that you know? I'm not necessarily legitimate in your community, so how can we partner together to create programs and initiatives that really take the best of both worlds, your local knowledge and the knowledge we have from the academy?